Hello.
Hi.
How are you this week?
I'm doing better. Things are a little bit better.
Alright, tell me about that.
Yeah, so they had the UFC fights, and I did hang out with some coworkers and watch the fights.
Oh wow, okay.
So that was cool. It was hard. It was weird at first because I didn't know how to talk to people or what to talk to them about. But I know a fair bit about UFC, so like once the fights got roll on, we started talking about that. Alcohol helped too. I did drink, but yeah, it was a pretty good week.
That sounds great. I mean, that drinking that you did with your coworkers, did that drinking feel different from when you're at home drinking?
It was a different kind of fun for sure. I guess I'm kind of nervous. I don't really want to tell you this because I think you're gonna think that I'm just making excuses. But I drank every night this week, but I was more productive during the day, so I felt like it was okay. Like that weekend, so on that Saturday I went out, had no problems at work. I sent my application and I emailed them, and they gave me a list of classes I'll have to start with because they said I'm in, but like it has to go through the official process, like I'm in, which I'm very excited about. And so I just felt like I had more energy than normal. So yeah.
Okay, so you're saying that you drank more frequently this week, but you feel like you were able to be more productive and had better energy during the week?
100%.
Alright.
100%. Yeah, I'm excited to get back into school.
That's great.
And I made more friends at work, so like now, it's like when I go to work, there are guys that like come over and say what's up, and we talked a little bit, and been working there for 6 months, and I talked to more people in the last week than I had the first 6 months.
So did you go into work and just start talking to more people?
Just whenever I saw the guys that I met through watching the fights, I would just say something to them, start a conversation. Showed up to work every day. I didn't reach out to Brooke again. Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
I still feel lonely. I miss her, but I made a couple of those accounts on those dating apps. So far, no bites. I don't really have many pictures of myself, anyways, so I should probably get some more pictures to put on there.
And maybe you need to call those new friends of yours up to the photo shoot.
True.
Last week, the goals that we had were for you to drink less during the week, if you can get through going one night without drinking also, and then for you to also not call Brooke.
Yes.
And to submit your application.
So 2 out of 3, I'd say that's progress.
And I do want to keep asking, yes, first of all, great. I do want to ask about the drinking. Like you said before, you said you feel like you were able to be more productive. Even with you drinking every night, was it more or about the same that you would drink in the night before?
About the same.
About the same?
Yeah. But one thing I did do is I tried to go to bed earlier than I normally do. So like I would just stop drinking soon, and I think that was the problem with missing work.
Okay.
I would drink too late into the night. Not necessarily how much I was drinking, or the fact that I was drinking, but it was just how late.
I'm hearing also a little more control too.
Yeah.
From what I remember you telling me before, you would kind of fall asleep somewhere within drinking. You didn't really have a point where you stopped in the night.
Yeah.
So it sounds to me like you're able to decide you're done for the night and go to bed.
Yeah. There was far less negative thoughts to except I mentioned before that my dad likes to drink too. Or he's a pretty wealthy guy, so he has tons of bottles in the bar. And we got into it a little bit because one night I keep an eye of like what he is into, and there's a bottle that was like half full that he hadn't touched in a really long time, and so I took it thinking that he wouldn't notice, but he did, and so we got into it pretty bad, and yeah, so I'm definitely going to be moving out and going to the dorms now, because he went on about he couldn't trust me, and I mean, I'm just trying to save money, and honestly, there's so much there. I don't understand why he would be so upset about that.
Did he say any further why?
He just why he was mad, or
Yeah.
just because I didn't ask, and if I asked, he probably would have said no anyways, because that's his stuff. But yeah, I think he was just overreacting. I mean, he's gonna get drink anyways. It's been there for forever. He has plenty of other stuff. He's just being so controlling. As if he couldn't go and buy 10 of the same bottle and it'd be nothing.
So you're moving to the dorm soon.
Yep, in the spring. So, a couple months.
How do you feel about that?
I'm excited.
Be a change.
Yes. You're on other people. I just, when I picture it, I'm just like, I'm back to being my, like shy, anxious filled self, but I'm hoping that I can stay a little upbeat. Because this past week has definitely been the most upbeat I've been in a very long time.
Why do you think that's happening this week versus other weeks?
I think I have something to look forward to.
So it's something you can look forward to now. Would the dorms fit into that?
Yeah, a lot of opportunities to make new friends, meet tons of new people. It's never boring with so much going on a campus.
That sounds exciting.
Yeah. One thing I am worried about, and I don't know that I mentioned this before, but last time I did get caught a couple times with drinking in the dorms because you're not supposed to. There was a guy, he was just like really snoopy. He'd always be checking in late at night, like a really annoying guy. And we got into a couple arguments because I don't like people like that. Like, mind your own business. And he ended up telling on me several times. And so I got a couple warnings and I had to pay fines.
Was he
And
the
I'm worried
RA?
about that. Huh?
Was he the RA?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I mean, he has no reason to start, like, who at like 11 or 12 at night decides they're gonna walk around and try to get people in trouble?
Well, why would he?
He's weird. He's a weird, sad person.
I can think of a few motivations for him. I wonder if you can do as well.
Why he would snitch on people?
Mm-hmm.
I think he just likes the power of, or the position of authority. Just like the way he talks to people is condescending. Like the first couple of times we got into it is because he was being condescending and ordering people around, like being disrespectful, and I kind of go off on him.
It sounds similar to how your dad was talking to you.
Yeah, now that you mention it, a little bit, yeah. Because there's just no need for it.
Who else talks to you like that?
I mean, coaches growing up, but those are really the only two people that like repeatedly did it that come to mind. I've gotten into like out at bars and stuff, like people, they're drunk, they're disrespectful, and we get into it. I've been in a few fights. I don't know if I told you about that.
Not yet.
It never really amounts to anything, but I'm not very keen on people being rude, or like one time a guy hit a girl and I kind of just saw red, ended up getting kicked out of the bar, but they understood because I mean he hit a girl. Other people just being rude, like spilling a drink on you, and then they're just like, I don't want to. They're like, screw you, watch out. It's like, you're the one that spilled the drink on me. And then I kind of just, that anger takes over sometimes. But I haven't experienced that since college. Well, I guess when my dad got on to me, about the bottle thing, I got mad, but I just walked away in the middle of him talking.
I can't have been happy about that.
Yeah, he'll get over it.
It sounds like you have a really strong sense of what is right and what is wrong.
I mean, I'm not religious really, but I definitely think that there's a standard that we should live to, and being disrespectful when it's unwarranted. It's not something that should just be watched and allowed.
And when someone is being disrespectful, how do you normally handle that situation?
Honestly, it depends, because like recently at work, it's like there's situations where in the past I would have reacted differently, but now in those situations I kind of just I just brush it off. I used to feel like a coward, but then it's just not worth it sometimes.
There are consequences too.
Yeah, there certainly can be. Yeah.
So you're concerned that you might have similar issues being back on the dorms?
I'm hoping not. But in all likelihood, I mean, there's some certain, especially when it comes to being rude to like my friends or to women, I just get so angry. And I know how to fight, so it's not like I'm putting myself in a huge, dangerous situation. But sometimes people just need a physical consequence for how they act and treat people.
But that's gotten you your own consequences in the past, right?
Nothing crazy. I mean, kicked out of bars. I've been hit a few times, like busted nose. I've never had to go to the hospital and get stitches or anything. But it does kind of feel good to like if when you go out with certain people, they know like if stuff goes down, I'll handle my business.
It feels like, sounds like you have agency.
Yeah. Because not everybody is willing to take care of a situation, and a lot of times I do. Although I have had to run from bicycle cops before. I mean, that's nothing, yeah. Like in Athens, there's bike cops driving around. What are they gonna do? Wheel me down? Yeah. It's their fault for trying to ride on bikes.
Is that something you do when you were younger too, or did that really kind of kick off when you started going to bars?
Definitely a lot more in the bar setting and in the dorms. I mean, aside from like little fights with my brother or kids on the field playing baseball or football. Baseball, I never threw any punches or anything, but I would get in people's faces. But football, some fights, but nothing crazy. Usually it's mutual, going back and forth, and then kind of, guys are weird. It's like you can punch each other, cuss each other out one day, and the next day dab each other up and everything's fine. It's like a rite of passage in some ways. It's like a way of earning respect.
It sounds like an episode of New Girl I just watched. What was it that you have there?
Oh, it's just from my old necklace that I got on Amazon.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yin yang.
Yeah. There's a whole symbol for like repelling negative energy. I don't know if you noticed, but I like to do things with my hands. So this is just something that I fiddle with. And I like the idea behind it.
Tell me some about it. I don't know much about it.
So my understanding is In Eastern traditions, you put this symbol outside your house, and it basically protects the house from negative forces. I like to think that by keeping it in my pocket, it's doing the same. I think it's mostly like a mental game, not a literal thing, like crystals. It's like people say, like, if you want a crystal, it gives you a certain energy. I think it's more because you're thinking about it, you're manifesting energy yourself, not necessarily the rock.
Still sounds powerful. You're looking for ways to be protected from negative energy.
It's better to think, believe, and practice something than nothing. I guess that's another thing I left out. But I used to meditate quite a bit. I say meditate, but it was more like just sitting crisscross listening to music. But it like helps me dissociate.
It sounds soothing.
Yeah. The problem is it's way better than regular life sometimes.
Why is that a problem?
I spend too much time doing it, and it has consequences in the real world.
So it would take away from things in your real world?
I think so.
What sorts of things were you missing out on?
There's like if I stopped doing it because I slowed down in doing it because I found that I would just want, like, it was the only thing I wanted to do, just sit there in silence, and I was missing work. I was not socializing at all. I was just locking myself in my room. I think that's when I started playing video games a lot more too. So I guess video games just took over that time.
So it sounds like something else where you can just kind of be quiet, listen to music, and tune out your real life for a little bit.
Yeah.
It sounds meditative then.
Yeah, and then when the negative thoughts came in, it wasn't so peaceful anymore.
Would that time allow you to process and reflect on your negative thoughts, or did you feel it had a different effect?
Sometimes, most of the time I try to just ignore them though. Try to get them to go away. Turn the music up louder, stand up, walk around, sit back down.
It might be worth investigating those feelings. I remember our first session, you told me you have motivation issues. And I remember asking you about that and you telling me that you were having trouble motivating yourself and doing things.
Yeah.
And in 2 weeks, you've cut down your drinking, you've made friends at work, you've gone out with them, applied for school, and are planning on moving out. It sounds like at least
It's a lot.
one good thing came out of looking at that negative feeling a little bit.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. I just need to not mess it up.
Does it worry you that you might?
Yeah, I mean, I've done it before.
And then that, are you referring to undergrad?
When moving home, I've seemed to cause more arguments than anything.
So, what concerns do you have about messing it up, as you say?
I know for a fact that if I end up in another situation like with the RA, it's gonna cause problems because I'm not just gonna bow down to some guy that's being nitpicky and thinks that because he applied for a position he gets some kind of authority where he gets to be better than everybody. I know that's gonna cause problems. I definitely don't want to get kicked out because it's a new school, so hopefully, I mean, as far as I know, there's no record that they'll have access to about my dealings at the other school. But I mean, the idea of not drinking as much sounds good, but in reality, I just enjoy it too much. And if I end up being around guys that do it a lot too, I have to really focus and try to make it to class on time and not miss.
So maybe you can continue drinking with some strategy.
Yeah. That's the plan.
Not to enable a behavior that you may be trying to kick. But from my recollection, RA can't go into your dorm anyhow.
They're not supposed to.
You ever report him?
Even that. No, because he was a snitch. He was trying to be a snitch, so I didn't want to be a snitch. So I just used aggressive persuasion. Which sometimes it worked, but then ultimately it just pissed him off and then he had it out for me.
Yeah. It sounds like in this case he got his story told.
Yeah. I mean, the other guys didn't like him either, but the school doesn't really care about that.
I hope he's not going to be your RA coming up.
I don't know where that dude is now. Hopefully our guy's cool.
Mm. What I'm hearing also, correct me if I'm wrong, is you have a tendency to either deal with your problems or deal with confrontations or deal with people being in your face, discomforts essentially, either by aggression and confrontation, which you're really skilled at, or by completely avoiding them and going into a meditative place that can take over a lot of your time. Does that sound about right?
Yeah.
It's interesting. to me.
How else? If I get angry and then I'm able to control it, then I go just try to get my mind off of it,
Mhm.
which is through video games now. Or I handle the situation. Because sometimes people act like I'm making a big deal out of nothing, but they know what they did. They're just trying to get out of it.
Well, it matters to you also.
Of course.
And it sounds like respect is really important to you.
Yeah. Growing up, we were never really religious, but I've met quite a few religious people, and people who talk with an air of condescension gets under my skin.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, who are you?
It's a fair question.
Yeah.
So, who are you
people
to
don't
deal
like
with
to
it?
say that. Huh?
Who are you to deal with it?
I mean, they come to me that way, so then it's the responsibility lays on me. Like, what do I do about it? So usually I confront them, and they're usually surprised. I guess they're so used to no one challenging them.
Probably a fair assessment.
I don't really want to be their friends anyways, because of the way they talk to people and the way they carry themselves above. I had coffee. I don't know why. Yeah, I had coffee.
That rainy weather is getting
That's
to
what it is.
Mhm.
That's what it is. I was reading before this, and it was hard to keep my eyes open.
What are you reading right now?
For this one.
You're getting ready for your courses.
Yeah, getting ready for my courses. That's it.
That's awesome. So how soon are you making that move?
I think it's beginning of January.
Okay.
Well, it is. Looking down, I learned this in a YouTube video. This is real. I'm making it up. It causes drainage and it makes you sleepy.
Oh,
Like if you look up, the parts of your brain that are associated with waking up in the morning turn on.
I've heard that would like turn on any light also if you're trying to wake up, and even if you don't feel awake, it'll work on waking you
Yeah.
up more.
Yeah. Andrew Huberman, have you ever heard of him?
I haven't.
He's like one of those popular YouTube podcaster guys. He's like a genius when it comes to biology.
Is he like a productivity guy too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's in the, I know the family that of YouTubers.
Talks a lot about like men and testosterone and women and estrogen levels and proper dieting. And apparently, if you want to lose weight, or like another thing, like do you drink coffee?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So if you drink coffee, you want to wait at least an hour after you get up out of bed, because there's like a protein that gets used up, and if you drink coffee before that protein gets used up, you crash at the end of the coffee's life. But it's like that's how you avoid the crash.
That's really interesting.
So I used to just get up, and like my motivation for getting up would be the coffee downstairs.
Right.
But I switched it, and now like if I drink a full cup, it does seem like I get through the whole day easier sometimes.
Wow. I've also heard that drinking coffee too early can affect hormones like
I'm
throughout
sure.
the day.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Interesting.
And another thing about like if you're trying to lose stomach fat, don't eat until 2 p.m. and go for a very light run in the morning.
So like
Something about like tricking your body into burning fat reserves earlier.
Interesting.
Yeah. But I like eating breakfast, so I don't know if I'm
Yeah.
able to
I think my comfort foods are all breakfast foods.
Eggs, bacon, bagels.
Well, yeah, I don't have anything else to eat meal is a fried egg sandwich. Can't go
yeah.
wrong.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Sounds like you're into like biohacking also, or curious
That's
about
interesting.
biohacking.
It's definitely interesting.
It's like the cool side of anatomy and physiology.
Yes, the stuff that they leave out of the course because they don't want you to have fun.
Well, back to business. So, with your new friends, do you have any more plans with them?
Not right now, no. But I am kind of sad that I won't really miss the pace of the job, but I will have to leave this job when I go back to school. So I'll have to find a way to stay into contact with them for when I do come home, because if I don't make it again and I have to come back home, it'd be nice to have them here.
And it'd be nice to have them anyway.
Yeah, true.
How do your parents feel about you going back to school? Have they said anything?
My mom did say that she was excited. My dad not so much, because the bottle thing happened a couple days after we last talked, and we haven't talked since.
Yeah, this clock doesn't work.
I think it's working, but I don't know if it's the right time. What time is it?
It's an hour off.
Oh.
It's an hour ahead.
That's something I've been too lazy to do. The clock I have, like when I wake up, the wall in front of my bed, I haven't changed it yet. And today I woke up and I was like, it's already 11.
I'm surprised you don't have it like 5 minutes fast so you run out the house early.
True.
I tried doing that for myself at some point and I kept thinking I could be 5 minutes late to things now. So it backfired on me.
Better be early than late.
Right.
That is another thing that gets under my skin.
Because people are
People
not
are late.
punctual. Do you have that instinct to be early at all costs?
Yes, I do. No, one of my buddies, Keon, it's a real story.
That's a hard name.
We used to hang out all the time, but this man would be late 30, 45 minutes every single time. And he would make the joke that, oh, it's just CPT, you should expect it.
Yeah.
And I didn't think that was a real thing, but I don't know, I got some friends,
It's a very real
they
thing.
take it seriously.
It's a very real thing. I will disclose, I had a friend growing up, I will always remember this, she was throwing her birthday party at her house, and we were like high schoolers. So it's a small little like high school get together, and she told everyone 6, and I told my mom no one is gonna be there at 6. Like we're gonna be 13. No one's gonna be there at 6, and she goes, okay, that's fine. And she still fights though to get me there at 5:55. She really is like, we gotta honor the time
Yeah.
it's set. I showed up at that girl's house. She hadn't showered yet.
Oh, no.
It's like, no one's gonna show up for another 2 hours. What are you doing here? So I just kind of
That's
hung
so
out.
So you can just say 8.
No, then no one would show up till 10.
True,
That's
true.
the problem.
True. That's funny.
But you're still friends with Keon?
We play games sometimes, but
No, he doesn't have to be on time anyway for that.
no.
Does that feeling extend to you working?
Oh, I guess I never really thought about it. I'm kind of a hypocrite, huh? I mean, if I missed though, it's not that big of a deal.
You haven't had consequence for that particularly at this job?
There's only been once, and it wasn't even addressed. But at the other jobs, it was. Well, me being late was kind of the last straw. Kind of similar situations to like with the RA. Like some people, I'm a younger guy. I'm not doing this forever. But some of the other people take every second of the job so serious, and they like to make threats or boss you around when they shouldn't be. And there's a couple places where somebody gave me a lip, I gave them lip back, and then there was a management conversation. And then they didn't fire me for it, but they did give me warnings. It was just this one lady. She was like basically watching it. She, instead of her doing her job on time, she would watch mine and tell me how to do it better, tell me I'm doing it wrong. Spreading rumors, just childish stuff, and I had enough. And I kind of went off on it one day, and then I was late, or no, then I didn't show up one day. I called out, and they had enough. But like I said, I've been doing better about that. That was like a little over a year ago.
If I recall, also you said that when you were drinking, it was harder for you to be aware of waking up the next day and getting to work.
Yes.
So do you feel like this past week where you've had a little more control over that, you've had an easier time getting to work?
Yeah, I would say so. And just knowing that I'm going to school and like my days are limited there, because before it would get kind of redundant. It's like I knew that like the only thing going on the next month was when I had to be there. It was kind of draining. It's like I was longing for more, but I had no idea what to do. But now that I have school to look forward to, it made it easier to go to work.
You have something
Which
different
felt
to
good.
look forward to.
It felt like so long since I had something to look forward to.
Do you look forward to seeing your new friends also at the
Yeah,
workplace?
yeah. Yeah, for sure. I'm also pretty glad that I don't have to work at Amazon anymore.
So financially, you're going to be set.
Yeah, they haven't explicitly said it, but they haven't really asked about it either, so I just assumed it's going to be kind of the way it was before, but they provided me with living money.
Okay.
It's not like they're strapped for cash or anything,
Mm-hmm.
so I won't have to work. I can just focus on having friends again and passing my classes.
That sounds great.
I'm excited. And I can still do my nightly routine.
Mm-hmm.
Play video games.
Provided you've done your
course.
homework.
Yeah, I'll probably, yeah, of course. I do procrastinate, but I procrastinate with strategy.
I'd imagine.
I'm sure you've been through a lot of school. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, I do. Yeah, I wasn't one of those students that got things done the day they were assigned. So you've been able to set really strong goals these past couple weeks and meet those goals.
For the most part, yeah.
Yeah. You feel proud of yourself for that?
It does feel good to be able to say it. Although if I say it outside of this room, it feels silly to celebrate. But yeah.
In this room, it's not silly.
Yeah.
So what kinds of goals do you think you can make for next week?
Continue to show up to work, and my room is a mess again. I mentioned last time, I think, that I cleaned it. I need to clean it again. Right now I don't see any reason to try to stop my drinking. Or I can just keep maintaining my control over how much.
So maybe then we say you don't fall asleep drinking, or you continue to not fall asleep drinking.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds great.
Yeah, I can do that. And I guess on the social front, because as scary as it is, I want to get better at having friends. Reach out and try to plan to go to a bar or something. Maybe watch football on the weekend. Yeah, those are some things I think I could do.
Absolutely. I wish you best of luck on that. I wonder also, have you journaled in the past?
I got one, and I started to write in there, but it's just I'm not a very good writer, and it's just super embarrassing and made me cringe trying to write that stuff. So I think I have 4 sentences in there.
It sounds like you're doing extra work of reading it too.
Yeah.
That's someone else's job. Someone else is usually nobody, but because this past couple of weeks, what I've seen is that you have a good ability to recognize what you want to change when you make the goal and you share that with at least, I know you shared it with at least me, and I imagine at times you're sharing it outside of here, like when you told your brother and your friends that you had started therapy. So when you are clear about what that goal is and it's short term enough, you've done a really exceptional job at meeting those goals. And you've consistently reported to me too that you feel better each time that you do.
It definitely boosts my mood.
Is that a pattern you'd be interested and willing to continue, even outside of these sessions?
I guess the right answer is yes. I mean,
well, there's no right answer.
I would like to, but I don't know, I guess I just hope that this last week wasn't a fluke, because I've had more energy this week than I have in a very long time. So yes, to answer your question, yes, I would like to continue.
Yeah, I hope we definitely can set our aims there then, because it sounds like you are trying to figure out how much you can trust yourself. And from
I guess you're right.
week 1, I recall you did not at all. By week 2, you came in with a lot of changes that you had made. I think it's seeking balance on the floor twice now. But from week 1 to week 2, you proved to yourself that you're able to follow through on, I believe it was 2 of 4 of your goals, half of them, which was more than the week before.
Yeah.
And then from last week to this week, 2/3 of those goals.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you still don't feel ready to trust that you're able to consistently follow through. But I do want to point out to you that you're building a habit, that you have improved from week 1 to week 2 and now to week 3.
Yeah.
And that's a short amount of time. Like week
Feels
4,
like
you may
forever.
not do, like week 4 you may come in here and say I didn't do any of those things. But if week 4 feels different from week 1, that
That's
still
something.
sounds like growth to me.
Yeah. You're right. I definitely have benefited from coming here.
I'm glad to hear that. You've changed where you're going entirely.
A lot, yeah.
And if you'll humor me, I'll ask again, what fears did you have about going to this program now beyond interacting with individuals who may be disrespectful and maybe not following through like the first time?
I guess the only thing that comes to mind is like showing my parents that they were right again. That scares me because I don't know what I'll do.
Do you feel like they're looking for you to fail?
I certainly hope not, but they're not exactly the best cheerleaders.
You wouldn't think of them as supportive.
They push me to be better, but I wouldn't say they're supportive.
Okay. Sounds really frustrating.
Kind of used to it at this point.
I imagine they would argue there's always a little more you could push.
Yeah. Or a lot more.
Are there any points when you feel like you were able to show them a success without them arguing you push more?
They were certainly glad when I got, when I would lose a job, I would get another job pretty quickly. And that would always, they would always seem to like that. Yeah, that's the only thing that comes to mind.
Oh, that's great. That's still not all the opportunities you'd want for them to respond positively to you, though. And how about your brother? Have you let him know that you're moving?
I did. He's happy for me. He'll be here next week, so I'm gonna talk to him about it plenty.
That's great. You seem very contemplative.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about what I would do if I fail again.
What would you do?
I have no idea. That's the problem.
Well, you've repeatedly said you wouldn't want to go back to your parents.
Fingers crossed, I'll make it this time.
So what would making it look like?
Graduating and getting a job that pays more. Out of a warehouse. That kind of thing.
And you're doing computer science, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what's that dream office look like?
Oh gosh, I don't even know. New computer, like a supercomputer. It'd be cool to have like a nameplate, like hourglass or something. I don't know.
Alright, so our time is running short. But we've talked a little bit about some goals that you have for next week. Is there anything else that you want to focus on in this coming week, or that you want to make sure that we've mentioned before we leave today?
I think think today went good. I like the goals that we already discussed. I don't really want to make a long list of stuff quite yet.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I think I could do that.
Alright, well, I'll see you next week to follow up and see how things go for you.
Thank you for seeing me.
Or, yeah, it'll be before Thanksgiving, maybe next week. Alright, well, thank you. Have a good one.
Alright, bye bye.